Nissan Sentra 1.6. 2011 year off the model car. The problem with the car is that after starting the car engine, when the air conditioner is turned on, the engine starts shaking and misfiring. When the fuel accelerator is pressed while driving the car, the engine makes a sound as if 3 cylinders are working. The mechanic of another car garage changed the new spark plug and ignition plug coil of this car but could not solve the engine problem. The owner of this car is coming to me. I will check what is the problem with the car. How to solve the problem with the car. So watch the full video. I sincerely greet you on behalf of this channel. I entered the car, first turned the ignition key switch to the on position, and checked with the SCAN computer. There were no fault codes. Now I will start the car's engine and check to see how the engine shakes and misfires. There is no check engine warning light on the dashboard meter after starting the engine. Now I will go to the engine compartment of the car and show you how much noise is caused by the engine misfiring. The car's engine is shaking but I can't show it due to a camera problem. I put a water bottle on the car engine and now I can see that the engine is shaking a lot. I can understand from the sound of the engine that there is a problem with the engine misfiring. Now I will check with an ignition coil tester to see if there is any problem with the ignition coil. The car's number 1 ignition coil plug and spark plug are working properly. The signal is also fine, there are no problems. Look at the number 2 ignition coil plug not working properly. The signal is also not right. Check that the number 3 ignition coil plug and spark plug are working properly. The signal is also fine. The car's number 4 ignition coil plug and spark plug signal are fine. There is a problem with the plug-in ignition coil number 2 of the car. I will change the plug-in ignition coil number 2 and see if the problem is solved or not. I took out the old ignition coil and now I will install a new ignition coil and check it. I completed the installation of a new ignition coil and now I entered the car to start the engine. Now I will start the car engine. Now I will go to the engine compartment of the car and check the ignition coil again with the tester. See, after changing the second ignition coil, the signal is still not correct. Check if the ignition coil signal number 1 is okay. Now I will test the ignition coil wiring diagram with the LED test pen and with the engine running. Now I will check the positive supply voltage on pin 3 of the car's ignition coil. The positive 14 volt DC signal of ignition coil number 1 is okay. The positive 14 volt DC signal from ignition coil number 2 is okay. The positive 14 volt DC signal from the number 3 ignition coil is correct. Number 4 ignition coil positive supply volt signal okay. Now I will check the ground signal connection of the ignition coil number 2 wire. Number 4 ignition coil ground signal is okay. Number 3 ignition coil ground signal is okay. Number 1 ignition coil ground signal is okay. Number 2 ignition coil ground signal is okay. Now I will test the signal coming from the engine ECU to the ignition coil. The signal from the ECU to ignition coil number 1 is okay, so the LED test light is flashing on and off. Now I will test the ignition coil number 2, see if the LED test light is not blinking. This means that the engine ECU signal is not coming to the ignition coil number 2. The number 3 ignition coil and the number 4 ignition coil have signals coming from the engine ECU. Check if the signal line coming from the ECU is missing from the number 2 ignition coil. I will check with the multimeter whether there is any problem with the wiring connection from the engine ECU to the ignition coil. Now I will turn off the car engine to check the wiring connections. Wiring issues or damaged wiring in the ignition system can cause misfires. Ignition coil number 2 does not receive a signal from the engine ECU. I will find the engine ECU to check the wiring. The engine ECU is located on the left side of the engine compartment of the Nissan Sentra. Now I will open and remove the engine ECU. I will remove the engine ECU by disconnecting the wire socket from the engine ECU and taking it out. Remember, I set the multimeter beeping sound to test the wire from the ignition coil to the ECU. If the wire is good, the multimeter will beeping sound. If the wire is damaged, the multimeter will not beeping sound. First I will check the wiring of ignition coil number 1. I will connect one wire of the multimeter to the wiring of the ignition coil and the other wire of the multimeter will connect to the wiring of the ECU socket. The multimeter is beeping. There is no problem with the wire from ignition coil number 1 to the ECU. Now I connected the multimeter cable to the wire on ignition coil number 2. The multimeter is beeping, which means there is no problem with the wiring from the engine ECU to ignition coil number 2. The multimeter is making a beeping sound. There is no problem with the wiring from the engine ECU to the number 3 ignition coil. Ignition coil output line from ECU number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. The multimeter is making a wheezing sound. There is no problem with the wiring from the engine ECU to the number 3 ignition coil. Now I will send the ECU to an ECU repair shop for repair. After 2 days, they repaired the engine control unit and sent it to me. Now I will install the engine ECU. Before installing the engine ECU, I would like to say that if you repair or change the ECU, you must change all the old ignition coils of the car. If you do not change the ignition coils, then the engine control unit may short again. So I changed all the ignition coils and installed new ignition coils. Now I will install the car's engine control unit. Now I will connect the cable socket of the car's engine control unit. Now I have plugged in the cable socket of the car's engine control unit. Now I will enter the car to start the car's engine. I entered the car. Now I will start the car engine. After starting the car engine, I turned on the car's air conditioning. After starting the car engine and turning on the air conditioner, the engine no longer misfires. Now the engine does not misfire anymore. Look, now the engine does not shake anymore. Inshallah, the problem has been solved. Thank you very much for watching the video in its entirety. If you have any problems understanding anything while watching the video, please comment in the comment box. On behalf of this YouTube channel SCS Automotive, I would like to express my sincere greetings and congratulations and wish you all the best. I hope everyone is well. May Allah Hafez.